EcoVeganGal.com, and welcome back to another episode of the EcoVeganGal Uncensored show. I should really be saying on the channel, but anyways, you know what I'm trying to say. This series is all about my thoughts, feelings, and opinions on things, not necessarily related to veganism. And as usual, I don't have a very specific message to get across quite yet. I think it's in my head, but I'm going to pull it out as I talk about it, just like any normal conversation. So stick with it. It's going to be about 20 minutes in length. I actually have 21 minutes to record this before I have something else to do. So let's jump right in and talk about the subject that's on my mind, which is, I don't even know how to summarize it quite yet. Well, there's been a lot of things in my mind. I'm constantly brainstorming and reflecting on things, and I'm getting so into this channel because it really feels like a conversation, even though it's just me talking to you and then you replying in the comments. We don't have that direct feedback or that live feedback that you would feeling like you were in person with somebody or even on a Skype call or something with somebody. But it does feel like this intimate conversation. I cherish that so much. So thank you for watching, but really, really thank you for being part of the conversation. I love hearing from you, and it motivates me to keep going, and I want to produce more and more. And there were a couple moments this past week where I wanted to record some extra videos, and I don't know why I didn't do it. Sometimes it's just a matter of energy. It's rarely a matter of time. I talk about pretty frequently how it's hard for me to respond to emails and comments and all of that. It's really not a matter of time. I don't like to use the word busy. I'm much more of a fan of the word productive. But I actually have a ton of time. And we all do, really. But I schedule my days based on my energy. So I do my best to always give myself the opportunity to recharge. This isn't the subject of this video, but just a little side note. Something that I've really identified about myself lately is I'm just somebody who needs a lot of recharge time. It's kind of like my electric car. I only have so many miles I can go before I run out of charge, and then I have to plug it in. And so as I do with the electric car, I have to really schedule things based on how much charge I have and when I will have an opportunity to recharge. And I've really noticed that with myself, I have a lot of mental energy happening, but emotionally and physically my energy is sometimes gets in the way. And even if I have a ton of quote unquote spare time, if I don't have the energy to do something, I just don't want to do anything. And this happened last night, actually. I was struggling with my energy and really wanting to be productive, even though it was a Saturday. I have to always remind myself that my energy comes first. And if I don't have the right energy for something, it doesn't really feel good to get it done. So if I don't record videos by a certain time, or if I don't record them as frequently, it's never about time, it's about energy. And I wanted to share that with you just so you understand a little bit more about me, but also to reflect on your own self in terms of your own energy, because we as a society base so much on time. Everything's about time, but how often we rarely have a conversation about our energy levels and how that affects our ability to get things done, or our desire to get things done, and all of that. So just reflect on that and give yourself that patience when you don't have a lot of energy. I don't know. I could talk more and more about that. I didn't really want to go on that subject in this video today, but if you want me to elaborate more, I'll reflect on how to say this more concise and more clearly. So speaking of which, I would love your input on topics. I think I've said this before. I need to just get up a form where you can submit them, as I do with my other channel, because just seeing them in the comments, if I don't write it down somewhere, then I'll completely forget somebody suggested it. So you could even just email me, or just say, hey, Whitney, don't forget to write this down in your notes so that you don't forget to address this topic. I actually have a little digital notepad where I write down all my ideas. And funny enough, I was looking at my ideas for this channel today, and none of them inspired me. What I've been thinking a lot about is this experience I had at a party yesterday, and kind of even from the party before. I went to two parties. Well, actually, I take that back. There were two photo shoots. One of them was like a true party. The other one was kind of like a party, but more intimate. The one yesterday was for the Thug Kitchen second cookbook. And by the way, I documented it a lot on Snapchat and Periscope. Those are two of my favorite social media networks right now. So Periscope, you can actually go watch it anytime. I think you can watch it on the web now and on Twitter. It's all connected to that. If you go to the Eco Vegan Gal Twitter account, you can find that, or just remind me and I'll link to it down below, and you can see a little behind the scenes of the photo shoot there. And then I had a few other moments on Snapchat, but that expires 24 hours from the time that I took it. So Snapchat has been really fun. You can search for Eco Vegan Gal on Snapchat and just kind of see more all these little intimate moments in my life. Anyways, so I went to this party and I had an interesting experience there talking with some people about career. And this is such a huge passion of mine. More and more, this is something that I've really started to identify with myself, is how much I just love helping people lead the best lives possible, really. I mean, that's kind of been an obvious passion of mine, but I didn't realize until, the past 6 months or so, how passionate I was about the business side of it and how much I really just want people to lead the best lives possible. I mean, that's ultimately what it comes down to. I was reflecting on this the other day thinking, why do I love talking about business and helping people work for themselves and be their own bosses or quit their full-time jobs, all of that? Why do I have such a deep desire to do that? And how does that tie into the rest of Eco Vegan Gal? And I realized they have so much in common because ultimately it's about people doing exactly what they want in life and feeling their best. So for me, veganism and eating healthy living has made such a profound difference in me because I feel better, I look better. Everything in my life has improved by learning about natural products and vegan living and all of that. And the environmental side of it too ties so much into health, but also the health of our whole planet and just making sure that we have a place to live, that we have sustainability here. And business has tied so much into that too, because my emotional health has improved so much when I followed my passion. But one thing that sometimes I have to remind myself really is that not everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. Not everybody enjoys that experience, and not everybody, or some people just want to work for somebody else. They find that easier, they find that more comfortable, they find that more pleasurable, they like that direction, they like that structure, they like that regular paycheck. It's uncomfortable for, I would say, most people to be entrepreneurs because it takes so much work and what's the word I'm looking for? You really just have to be on top of things. I mean, you control everything that you do, and that's great, but it's also really challenging because every day is a little bit different, and if you're not careful, you could easily not make money and then struggle with all of that. I mean, it's challenging. So I was having a conversation around this with somebody at this party yesterday who said something about how he wanted to I don't even remember exactly what he said, but it was basically what I took away from it was that he wanted to do some bigger things in his lives. And I could just his life. I guess maybe he has life. Anyways, so he wanted to do more, it sounded like. Basically, that's what I was hearing. And I also just picked up energetically on this person who isn't really happy with his current situation and wants more from life. So I jumped in and started asking him some questions about himself. And one huge thing that I found was that he doesn't really know what he wants. And I found that so interesting. I was trying to ask him more to help him uncover it, but suddenly he became, seemingly, from my perception, uncomfortable with this and was just so confused about what I was asking him. He's like, well, I just don't know. And he wanted to just end it there. He wanted to just be okay with that answer, I don't know. And I just felt like pushing him a little. I don't know him that well. He's really just a super acquaintance of mine. But just as out of natural curiosity, but also just to see how he would react, I kind of like pushed him through this. And I said, what do you mean you don't know? Like, if you say you don't know, you're not going to get where you want to go, because in order to go somewhere, you need to know the direction. And I could see this moment in him thinking, wow, like he's been okay with not knowing. And I find that so interesting. I mean, the more that I think the reason that coaching people and entrepreneurship is so interesting to me is because so much of it has to do with all of these mental roadblocks that we build up over time. And that itself has always been something really fascinating to me, is how can I be my best self amidst all of these roadblocks and emotional barriers and layers that we have on top of ourselves. So once I was kind of like in my teenage years, when I started to become more conscious about myself, I was very fascinated with how I could uncover myself as possible. And it's so interesting because as a teenager, let's just say I was 15, 16, really starting to explore what was going on with my mind and my emotions and where things were coming from. I mean, that's so young. And yet even by the age of 16, I had been covering myself up. So what I mean there is most people, their lives are just they're basically being buried more and more. I mean, in a literal sense too. They say the moment we're born, we begin to die. So in a way, a lot of that is because people aren't living to their fullest because they don't know how. And there's so much that happens in lives that kind of scars us. So perhaps a better metaphor is like we're building up all this scar tissue on top of ourselves. We feel pain. And for most people, instead of dealing with it, instead of healing through it, we just cover it up. We hide it. We say, that hurt. Let me put something on top so it doesn't hurt anymore. We do this in so many literal ways. When we actually get hurt, we'll take medication that covers up the wound but doesn't actually heal the depth of it. So really that pain never truly goes away. It never truly heals. It's just hidden so that it doesn't hurt as much anymore. It's a Band-Aid. And I have been striving for so much of my life to actually heal myself, to get to the root of myself and my pain. I don't really know where that desire came from. I feel very blessed that wherever it came from, that desire to heal myself, I feel blessed for that because more and more I recognize that other people don't have that desire, or they're never taught to do that. I feel like society kind of encourages us to cover everything up in sometimes some literal ways. I mean, there's so many, this conversation could go on and on, but my point is for us to step back and recognize what we're covering up is such a great path towards discovering our true selves, what we really want in life and how to get it. But many people I meet are so scared, and they are terrified of uncovering themselves. And that's interesting to me too, because society also encourages that of, well, don't uncover this. You're going to be opening up Pandora's box if you uncover yourself, and then all of these crazy things are going to come out and you're not going to know what to do with it, and it's just way too scary, so just don't deal with it. And people will even go to therapy and not really uncover themselves because they just want to hide. And I can't really relate to that. I'm trying to think right now, can I relate to that? I mean, I certainly have resistance in my life, but that desire to hide, or that desire not to really want to examine yourself or to figure out what you want in life, more and more, I'm just going that exact opposite of most people who are not fully identifying themselves, if that makes sense. I want to uncover everything. I want to figure it all out. It's like a detective or something, right? I want to search through all these clues to figure out, what does it all mean? And it's okay if you don't really have that desire, but you have to understand that if you don't figure things out in your life, you're not really going to get what you truly want, because you don't know what you want. Because if you don't uncover what you want, you'll never know. And you'll go through life on kind of this superficial level of only doing the things that you think you're supposed to be doing, and only, basically just making all these choices and doing things that you've just been taught, but are not really based in what you actually want. And that was part of the conversation too, is one of the best ways to figure out what we want is to start reflecting on our heart and where we get excited about things. And that, to me, anytime I get super excited about something, I stop and I go, okay, I got to remember this, or write it down, or really reflect on this. Why am I getting so excited, and how can I add this more into my life so that I feel that more often? And I think that somewhere in our lives, and probably early on in our lives, in our childhood and our teenage years, we are told by people that we can't have the things that excite us. We can't have the things that make us truly happy. We learn this over and over again in so many aspects of our lives. And I'm at a point right now where I'm thinking, why not? Why can't I have it all? There's really no reason. There's some specific things in our lives that we can't have. We can't have more time. We have a certain amount of time on earth, and we don't know how much that is, but we don't get more of it. Like, that's basically it. We can't stop the aging process. At least not yet, but not naturally, right? There those like literal things that we can't have, but really almost everything in life is reachable and attainable. And that's because we're human beings that have created our lives. We give birth to other humans, and then so we're creating life right there. But then everything that we do in life is just based on things that other humans have created and put into place. We are responsible for all of that. So this idea that we can't have things is kind of ridiculous, but it gets implanted in us so early on in our lives that we just believe it, and we cover it up and we say, well, I really want that, but somebody said I can't have it, so I guess I can't have it. Or I really want that, but I went for it, I got hurt, it hurt really bad, I'm going to cover it up and forget about it, push it away, because it hurts even just to think about it anymore. And so that process keeps happening, right? But when we uncover these layers and really just say, why did that hurt? Or, well, that hurt once, but that doesn't mean that it's going to hurt again. Or maybe there's a different way that I can go get. I mean, there's so many ways to start examining these layers as they come off. And for me personally, that starts to become so freeing. And the more I uncover things, the more clear I am about what I want in life, and the easier it is for me to get it. Because once you identify what you want, then you can go get it. So coming back to this conversation, this person was talking about how he wanted something, but he didn't even know what that thing was. And my feeling was he does actually know. It's just that it's been covered up. So you can see something down below, you can feel it, but until you start to move things out of the way to really get clear on what it is, then you can't even get it if it's covered up there, right? I don't know if any of this is making any sense, to be honest, because there's so many metaphors going on here. I guess I think you understand this, is that taking the time to identify what you really want, having the bravery to uncover it even when it hurts, even when it's scary, even when it's hidden away in a dark corner or in our emotional basements where there's no lights on and there's cobwebs and you have to go through and really get to the root of something. It's so worth it. That there's a major reward and a prize there. And there's just all of these hidden gems within us. And once you just have that confidence to know that you can get exactly what you want in life, once you identify what it is and you have the courage to move forward with it, it is like the most exciting thing. And it's not gonna come easy necessarily. Sometimes it does. It's not gonna happen immediately, but sometimes it does. You know, we don't know what that path is gonna be, but if you're okay with saying, I know what I want, I don't know exactly how I'm gonna get it, but I'm gonna get it because I know what it is and I'm gonna go after it, and it is possible. And you just push away any negativity, and you just push away anyone who says you can't do it, and you just go for it, because this is the only life that you have, and you don't know how much time you have. And we are the creators of our own reality here. Once you just recognize all of that, you will see how incredibly powerful you are. And it is one of the most exciting things that you'll ever experience in life, is just recognizing that power and recognizing that life is here for you, just as you are here for life. Well, I'm out of time to record. I feel like I could re-record this and be a lot more clear and concise, but I think I'll keep this video. It feels a little vulnerable for me when I put out a video without like any major clarity or conciseness, I guess. But I'm curious what you think and if you got where I was going today. Thank you for watching. Let me know in the comments anything that you felt while listening to this and if it made sense. And if not, I'll re-record this. And I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching and being part of my life. You inspire me so, so much. I'll see you next time.